company of Tukuriada. Hey, it's been a minute, right? It's just been a minute since we last spoke. And the last conversation we had was exciting, wasn't it? I hope it was. And you are doing well thus far. As the year unfolds with its blessings and curses, trust me, everything has an opposite effect. But I hope you're blessed. And you, as a subscriber that's been with me, my intros are always a perspective, unknown. You never know where it goes from this point. But it's all about athletics. I just put my arms up and say, blessed is thee who enjoys sports, because in sports thou shalt find thyself. It's a new discovery for those who are joining me. Again, my subscribers, man, let's ride along. 2026, exciting. It's exciting for women. It's exciting for men. It's even more exciting for women. Let's go back to the women because there's breaking news on the horizon. I don't remember, and during my time, I'm from the antiquity. I'm from the dinosaur age. You don't announce your pregnancy. There's some cultures don't do that. But we live in an age whereby we are trying to be open. We are trying to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we share. We are very, social media has unlocked something in our minds, and there's nothing to be kept in secret. I don't know why it's a secret. If it is a secret, let it be. But in athletics, there's breaking news. How true it is, it depends on the couple. And I'm talking of Sydney Mclaughlin Lavron is pregnant, is expecting to form a family with her partner, Mr. Lavron. That's great. Listen, life, if we can continue celebrating life, then we can be able to protect life, whatever that looks like from any angle. So, yes, there's breaking news that SML has decided, or they've decided, to create their own family of Lavronians. So she's expecting a baby, she's pregnant, she's joining the maternity ward of Beatrice Chebet, who has told us this year of 2026 is a time to have the greatest babies you can ever have. Can you imagine SML and Beatrice Chebet being in the same vicinity, having babies? These are gold medalists, the best of the best, fighting for the podium with the babies. It's incredible. Listen, as much as about sports, it's about humanity, it's about life. If SML, Sydney McLaughlin, Lavron, and British Chebet are deciding to forego what you and I want to see, which is them performing at that level of athletics, gold medalist, athlete of the year in SML, Beatrice Chebet, another athlete of the year in our own ways. Now they've moved up a notch because that is not for us to decide. Life is not about gold medals, my friend. Let's face it, life is about life. And these women have decided to take a sabbatical, to take a moment to give us another person to celebrate in babies and children and life. I'm a grandfather right now, my friend. I sit here saying, hello, mothers, SML, Beatrice Chebet, and my own. We are having this moment to say, yes, let's celebrate life in little ones. Behold, a child is born to thee. SML, congratulations to that woman. She's given us everything except what now we are expecting in the form of a baby. Well done. Yes, while we are talking of health, life, goodness, Usain Bolt is giving us something to chew on. Apparently, he's not happy after retirement. His body is not what it used to be. He's struggling to breathe going up the steps. He later retracted on that statement, saying it was a joke. That's no joke. This guy is struggling. He's gained some pounds. You've seen pictures. And he admitted to struggling getting up the stairs, having breathing issues. Let me be the first one to say here that post athletics, post performance, post Usain Bolt excellence in track and field, is not the first one to struggle in gaining weight and figuring out post Olympics and championship and world records how to maintain that body. It happens to the best of the best. Shaquille O'Neal, have you seen him lately, the basketball legend? Yeah, he was a big boy. Look at him now, Charles Barkley. Listen, I would mention the legends that you can, even Michael Jordan. So the issue for most athletes, and I don't think this is addressed very well, even Rudisha, David Rudisha struggled with weight. And in fact, I dedicated an episode here for Richard Chelimo, who had struggled a big deal post his career, how he had gained to 80 kilos. And he was a 5K guy, cross country dude. So I think these are concern if you are really you are very candid about health and post athletics for most of his athletes. And Usain Bolt is giving us a little bit of a glimpse. And men struggle more than women when it comes to after the fact, because women know that sometimes they know how to navigate. They live longer than us for a reason. They are self-aware. Men think a pot belly is a fashionable statement. Being, having a big body is a fashionable statement for most men. Men carry weight and they slap their weight around thinking it's healthy. It's not. Weight can be an issue and it can bring stress to the system. And Usain Bolt admitting to this, and even later saying, I have to change my ways of living post being active and training and putting all that work to break world records and win championship and Olympic medals. That is a conversation that I think is not well articulated out there. People don't talk about things like that. And I think if you think about the leanness, when you're training very hard, your body is very efficient. Everything is working very well. Oxygen intake is at the top level. Usain Bolt is not the same guy we saw many years ago. Things have changed. He's a family man. He's not as active as he used to be. And that can create issues within that system, that body. I'm glad he's addressing it. He's not 40 yet. It's good to address those issues early because at certain point in your life, these things catch up with you. And men need to be very candid. A pot belly, big chest, big butt, big whatever is not fashionable. I mean, I'll be the first one to say here, as much as I enjoy watching these guys, I want them to live a long life beyond the limelight. And I think Usain Bolt is telling us that he's trying to address those issues. Out of breath up the stairs is not a good thing when you're barely 40. That has to be addressed quickly. I'm glad he's doing that. And I'm happy for him that he's being open about his body, his health issues, maybe. And you never know the underlying issues when you are not active the way you used to be. And I think one of the things people don't talk about is when the lights are off, what happened to these athletes we used to celebrate. Sometimes some like Richard Chelimo, it was tragic. He went into alcohol, depression, and all that, and we know the demise. People like even people who struggle with alcohol, like I've talked about Henry Rono for a long time, and he passed away at 70 a few years, 2 or so years ago. But these are the issues that mostly men struggle beyond athletics. In the sunsets of their lives, men have struggled with gaining weight and having health issues, alcohol issues, and it is a problem that I think this platform is always a concern for me because we don't have just to have them celebrating when they're in the podium and getting the medals. We want to celebrate them living a healthy life beyond. And talking of healthy life beyond, health, Eliud Kipchoge finally has spoken. The legend, almost 30 years, giving us the best of the best in marathon. He's spoken, and maybe it's too late for me. I've always asked him to be more vocal because he has a voice. He can do better. He can be more vocal in the issues that are plaguing Kenyan athletes. You've noticed I've gone from Jamaica, America, back to Kenya, where I belong. Eliud Kipchoge, a few days ago, spoke and addressed the Kenyan athletics fraternity and a country as a whole. And when he speaks to most of us, it's not just about him. It's about his concern of the health and the well-being of athletics in Kenya, not as just individuals, but as a nation. And so, speaking in Eldoret in an event, Sirikwa Classic World Cross Country Tour, he is concerned about doping. He could be the second voice after Sebastian Coe, who I think has surpassed Eliud Kipchoge as a spokesperson for anti-doping movement in Kenya. As iconic as Eliud Kipchoge is, he's more global iconic figure than he's a Kenyan. And I think that is why maybe he hasn't been coming out strongly addressing the issues that are plaguing Kenya. Because he's been just kind of a maverick guy. He does things his own way. He's not very comfortable for me in Kenya. I've noticed that. When he goes to Japan, he comes to America, he goes to China, he seems to open up more. He was in Oxford at one time in England where he addressed those professors, those academia, and he was comfortable there. Maybe he struggles to have the same message and conversation with Kenyans. Do you know why? Kenyans act like smart asses. I'm just being honest. Kenyans tend to have kind of an arrogance that is just stupid. And maybe that's why the legend Kipchoge doesn't talk to them that often. But he's talking of doping as not just an athlete problem, but a collective future failure of leadership, governance, and system meant to protect runners. I think for me, not just runners, Kenyans in general. I'll be broad. The leadership of a country, the governance of a country, the systems of a country of Kenya has been disappointing for most of us for a long, long time. As much as it's about athletics, it's about a failed nation, not addressing the basic foundation of a country, being able to be accountable and addressing issues legally and following it to the point whereby we're like, we know what we are talking about. So here's Eliud Kipchoge. What did he say? He says that we are in a category A, not because of athletes, not because, no, what does he say? Let me read back what he says. We are in category A, not because of athletes, but because of all of us. So this is a national problem. Like I said, it's not just about athletics. It's about a system. It's about a nation. And he's saying that likening it to the situation to a household where responsibility lies with those in charge. Who are in charge of athletics? Barnabas Korir, Tuwei. I'm just dropping up names there. I'm looking here at Jack Tuwei, the president of Athletics Kenya. What has he done about doping? I don't know. Adak, what has he done about athletics? We have names listed as suspended. We have almost 300 maybe suspended provisionally, maybe nationally, I don't know. Here he goes, he's talking. But Kipchoge is questioning why doping continues to be discussed without concrete action, urging Athletics Kenya officials and administrators to have a candid collective conversation to develop lasting solutions instead of endless and successful talks. You know, I think he didn't wait too long. I think it's never too late to address issues, mostly of this level. I'm a Kenyan. Kenyans talk a lot. Kenyans are very smart asses in every conversation, in every topic. Kenyans are always in the middle of it. When it comes to issues like doping, systematic issues, governance issues, political issues in Kenya, we are very good in talking. We have commissions, we form ADAC, we form all these things that we think are legal framework, in quote, to address the issues. But that's all we do. We talk. Actions are always forced on Kenyans. Kenyans don't make their own actions. They are not the one who initiate actions. And I think this is where Eliud Kipchoge comes in. Let me continue and just share with you what he says. You can check this article. It's in capitalfm.co.ke. Will I share the link? Maybe. Kipchoge addresses, he highlighted the lack of proper structures as a major barrier holding back many talented athletes. I've talked about this. I've been very candid. I'm not one of these things about when you talk about athletics. For me, I've been around to see something. Like I say, I'm from the antiquity. I'm the dinosaur of athletics sometimes when it comes to talking about it. Kipchoge is really telling us something here, and I think I've talked about it a great deal. Kenyans celebrate these athletes at a given moment. But that's it, a given moment. When there's no cameras on these athletes, the systems, the nation, the people of Kenya really don't care about athletics. And that's why he's talking about proper structures. Proper structures. What is he talking about? He continues, we produce champions. Countless promising runners struggle due to the absence of coordinated support system, including quality of coaching, medical care. I've talked about this, not just medical, mental care. Okay, I'll add to that physiotherapy, financial guidance, and responsible use of data and technology. Remember, Kipchoge initiated an app that I shared on one of my episodes, whereby he's trying to introduce science and technology into how you train. Kenyans just continue to believe in raw talent. It has taken them so far. And the world has caught up with Kenyans. If you look at 5K, 10K, 1,500, even 3,000, the world is catching up with Kenyans because Kenyans believe all they care about is raw talent. But you have to improve on the raw talent with the changing world. And Kenya seems to be stuck in the old ways of doing things. It doesn't work. And Eliud Kipchoge seems to be speaking to that delay, that hesitation to jump in and embrace technology. I agree with him totally. He continues, many athletes fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack the right structure and support, and stressing the long-term development that must take precedence over short-term success. I agree with him. He's always right. I've never said he's not, but I think he can do more. He should take a front page approach to this. He should be the headlines when it comes to athletics. This guy has what it takes. He's seen it all. He's grown global. He's done it all. He has the knowledge. Does he have the goodwill of the government? Will they be allowed to say what he has to say and address those issues radically? Not just this idea of Kenyans talking around the tables and spending all these commissions, forming these associations that become just a money program where people form this Agnes Tirop. Then before you know it, people in the same things are stealing from the system. Because for Kenyans, sometimes they are driven by money. Not just Kenyans. Most people have a greed underlying their intentions. What will I say? He concludes by saying that he made it clear it was not about assigning blame, but demanding responsibility. I'll go as far as refusing to say it's not assigning blame. This is a problem when you become so diplomatic. I think people need to be called out for what they have done in Kenya. Assigning blame is a good way of holding people accountable. He's sidestepping that by saying he's not talking about blame but responsibility. You can't have it both ways. You have to blame somebody for what has gone wrong and get them out of the way to allow new leadership to take the country to another level. And I think the problem with Kenya sometimes we're trying to be nice. We try to be talkative. We talk good. We uko sawa bwana, uko sawa bwana. You know, we bypass even the legal framework because we can buy our way. But I think consequences create better responsibility. And Kenyans, even when we talk of things that have happened in the past, scandals that have plagued athletics in Kenya, from Brazil 2016, where we had officials going there and just on vacation. They did the same thing a few years later. We need to follow those and hold people accountable, and they should suffer the consequences of undermining the development and success of a country. We have to assign blame. Okay, Eliud Kipchoge, we cannot sidestep that. I agree with you in many parts. You have to hold people accountable, put them on the spike, put them on the spot, let them go behind bars if they have to, if they have stolen money from athletes. And people who have been the cartels of doping need to go behind bars. Because if there are no consequences in a country, there'll be no change at all. And people in leadership in our country, even athletics, have gotten away with crime, and that's why there's no change. We'll continue talking, but with no change. Consequences is part of what change will bring about. We can only change a country if people know if you do this, it's going to happen to you. It's not a blaming thing, it's a consequential thing. I agree with him. This is what he finishes by saying, if we get this right, we'll not only produce winners, we'll build athletes for life. Well, how do you get it right? By having consequences for actions that undermine the well-being of athletes and those who are behind maybe doping cartels, if it's agents, if it's coaches' collusions, if it's a system that needs to be maybe broken and rebuilt, and having leadership that are going to be standing there and telling us the truth about what is happening. I agree with Eliud Kipchoge. Finally, he has spoken to Kenyans in particular, and the systems, the governance, the leadership, and athletes, that people need to be held accountable and they need to suffer the consequence for their actions. Not just bad talking and talking and talking. We've been talking for a long time. We need to see actions that are consequential. And if the stakes are high, then let them be. Eliud Kipchoge, speaking to athletics in Kenya. Will it change? Time will tell. But from my perspective, this is another topic that will always be in front of us. And we'll still have the same conversation next year because Kenya is a notorious country when it comes to being radical. Kenyans, will you change with Eliud Kipchoge speaking to you? Well, SML is having a baby, my friend. Let's celebrate that. Beatrice Chebet is in the same ward with her. And Usain Bolt is like he's changing his life. People are changing. Will Kenya change? That's the story of today in this episode of Tukoriada, my subscriber. What's your comments? What do you think Eliud Kipchoge is telling Athletics Kenya? Are you happy for SML, Sydney Mclaughlin, LeBron? I've been too hard on her. But for now, if she's going to be a mother, I got to be a little bit kinder. Usain Bolt, wish you well. What do you think? Health beyond athletics is a big topic for those of us who've been in that world. Just keep running, man. You can't just stop. You can't go from 100 to 0 and you expect the same results. Your body has to adapt into the sunset. Wish you well. Give me the comments at the bottom, my friend. It's always a welcome thumbs up to all my subscribers. Talk to you